Hello, my name is Gavin Frey, and today I'm going to be discussing ironic viewing, specifically through the lens, pun is very intended, of MTV's hit show Jersey Shore. Before we discuss ironic viewing, we first have to understand Jersey Shore as a whole, some of the characters, and some of the main themes we see in Jersey Shore. So, what is Jersey Shore? Like I said, Jersey Shore was a MTV reality hit TV show that aired from 2009 to 2012, and their cast consisted of Guidos and Guidettes, who were lower to middle class Italian Americans who dressed in a very certain way, acted in a very certain way. And before I discuss how they acted, let's talk about some of the cast members. Let's start off with Sammy. She was known as the sweetheart. The sweetheart was in a relationship with a guy named Ronnie, and they were very on and off. And Ronnie just wanted girls to, quote, come to him. Um, he wore lots of hair gel and cologne, and even wore a little bit of lip gloss too. Mike, who's known as the situation, he was known as the player of the group, and he was very fixated on his appearance, and he always liked to brag about his abs. Next, we have Paulie D, who was the situation's friend. Even though the show is titled Jersey Shore, Paulie D is actually from Rhode Island and is a DJ by day. And what does the DJ want when he's in the club? Women, women, women. So this recurring theme of picking up girls at the bar, getting with girls, that was very common in Jersey Shore. And finally, to round out the men, we had Vinny, who was one of their friends from Staten Island. Let's come back to the women now. We have Jennifer, or JWoww. She was the diva who everyone hated. Um, she was hated because she was very unfaithful to partners. She was very focused on herself, very selfish. Um, for example, for her 21st birthday, she got breast implant surgery to enlarge her breasts. So if that tells you anything about who she is as a person, I don't know what to tell you. Uh, and then to round out the women, we have Nicole, or commonly known as Snooki. She's still known today. She's actually born in Chile and was adopted by Italians in New York, and she was known as the group's mascot, according to Susan Douglas, who wrote the journal article Jersey Shore Ironic Viewing. Um, she basically said that Snooki was very vulnerable and easily hurt, and she was kind of the one that everyone placed blame on, constantly got in trouble. When alcohol was involved, she was always one of the ones in the center of the issue. And as you could probably tell, Jersey Shore is drama centered. Drinking, cheating, fighting. That's what the show is all about. And do you know who love this? The younger generations. Your teenagers to early 30s. And that's why they made so much money between 2009 and 2012. They got the jackpot of the population to watch their reality show. And part of their success was because these characters maintained the Guido and Guidette lifestyle. Basically, for women, they were wearing very tight clothing. They liked to flirt with men, specifically JWoww. She liked intimidating men, and basically, the quote was, "If you don't know me, then you hate me, and you wish you were me." That doesn't tell you anything about how they should act. Um, that's pretty much how they acted. And if you think about it, women really aren't supposed to be super cocky. There's a difference between women just being confident in themselves and cocky, and that's straight up cockiness. In terms of the Guido lifestyle, they were these macho men who ironically happen to be super high maintenance. Pauly D, for example, wore tons of hair gel. That's part of the Jersey Shore look, just the slick back hair, not quite grease like, but just lots of pomade in the hair and maintaining the perfect tan, maintaining the perfect body with the six pack abs. And Pauly D, being the DJ he just wanted Guidettes to, quote, cream their pants during his DJ set, just wanted women to fall into his lap. So there was always some sort of sexual tension or action in the show, which led to a lot of sexually motivated thoughts and behaviors. Then finally, we get to the idea of the fantasy of the unregulated life, which is basically where these characters don't have many responsibilities. They have little to no work. For yeah, Pauly D's a DJ, but he's really not doing much at the end of the day. He gets to talk to girls as part of his job. Doesn't really have to worry about his behaviors. Ultimately, when you put 8 very strong personalities into a house in Seaside Heights, New Jersey together, with alcohol, and you just leave cameras on the walls, shit's gonna hit the fan, for lack of a better word. Um, and that's clearly what we saw in Jersey Shore, and that's why it was so popular with the younger generations. It's also a really good example of escapism, so people could escape or get away from their stressful reality at work or at school, and they could watch Jersey Shore and laugh and have themselves a good time for when it was on the air. In terms of impact and legacy, Jersey Shore left the impact of authenticity of content. This is a hallmark with reality TV shows. The idea that the viewer questions what's real, what's fake, what could I believe, but is actually fake. Even today, that's what influences things like The Real Housewives or basically any Bravo TV show that my mom has decided to watch in the last 10 to 15 years. Um, Stereotyping is a big part of Jersey Shore, and that left a big impact on how people view certain classes, people with certain lifestyles. There's certain lingo that's associated with classes and certain actions that you see during the show. Um, the Jersey accent. So when people ask me, I'm from Jersey, um, but not everything is like what they see in Jersey Shore or The Real Housewives of New York or something like that. Like there's much more to Jersey than just the how you doing and all this Italian jargon that you could see through Jersey Shore. Jersey Shore at its core is lowbrow television, and it showed that lowbrow television still hits with the audience. Very formulaic, conventional TV where these characters are, it's very light comedy, doing very stupid or crude behaviors. Um, then finally, it actually led to the popularization of the Jersey Shore itself because they're seeing, oh, these people are in this really fun environment where they get to party, get with girls, hang out on the beach all day, and it leaves a certain impression in people about Jersey as a whole and the shore itself. So now let's get to the main part of the presentation with Susan Douglas's Jersey Shore Ironic Viewing Journal article. Susan Douglas wanted to assess the ironic viewing strategies that led to Jersey Shore's success from 2009 to 2012. So some key tropes or reoccurring themes or ways that Jersey Shore is successful at retaining their audience and making all this money essentially was that they used a model called the extended family repertoire, according to Douglas. And this meant that Jersey Shore did a really good job of tying the audience to the outside community as a whole, connecting them to the Italian American community, to that Jersey Shore community. It basically constructed what Douglas called the extended family through the screen. Second, Douglas argues for the repertoire of melodrama, which basically means drama, drama, drama. Everything to do with drama. Usually exaggerated, using heartbreak or betrayal. That's why there's so much cheating, arguing, physical fighting in Jersey Shore. It leads to people developing attachments to certain characters. It also leads to just exaggeration and honestly over dramatization of daily living. And it makes it really funny and light for the viewer at home. Like for example, there would be a drinking conflict. Due to that, there would be fighting. There were always casual hookups. People were always drunk, so saying what's on their mind, saying things off color. And that honestly defies social expectations and exaggerates it even more. And to the viewer at home, it makes them question what's real and versus staged. We got into that on the last slide a little bit too. And ultimately, what this does, it makes the viewer feel superior to the characters. And we're talking about the idea of ironic viewing. And ironic viewing could be in terms of how these people are lower to middle class Americans that want to live this very, very lavish life in general. For example, he even got brought to Italy in 2011 as part of the show. Um, the idea of ironic viewing in general is that um, we're viewing this because we're questioning if their behaviors are genuine or real, and that was the hallmark of Jersey Shore overall. So now let's get into our second scholarly opinion, which is gender stereotyping in the Jersey Shore, which is a content analysis from Jacqueline S. Anderson, Jamila Pixie Ferris. Their question was, what is the relationship between reality TV and gender role stereotyping? Well, they basically did content analysis on the first season of Jersey Shore, and they analyzed behavioral and social aspects from clothing to happiness, all the way from who plays the hero to who's victim, who's dependent, who's independent in terms of men and women. And some of the findings are very surprising. Men tended to be much more focused on their physical appearance according to their content analysis compared to women. They looked at the references to beauty and stuff like that. It was very focused on the men, 60-40 in favor of the men, basically, which is ironic within itself because women are usually the ones that are more attached to their physical appearance. In addition, in terms of physical violence, the females actually exhibited much stronger physical violence. And that's surprising considering there's macho men in this. And if you wanted really good reality TV, you would want macho men getting in physical fights with people at bars when they're drunk. That would probably make a lot of money. Um, then also males did a lot of domestic tasks. So a lot of scenes took place in Seaside Heights, New Jersey, like I said, in their beach house. And men were cooking, cleaning, which defies expectations a little bit. So, besides just questioning the authenticity of actions and ironic feeling, we also talk about flipping the roles and overall gender stereotyping that leads to the ironic viewing. And it's also ironic that these people are basically getting mocked by the superior viewer at home, um, even though they have to guess what's real and what's fake. And with that, this is my works cited, and I thank you for listening.